Hello and welcome to Gaming Fix episode 172 on this May 15th afternoon for us, question mark. I'm Allison hosting today because Andre's internet is not working very well. Here today with Alex.
Hi, I'm also here because Andre's internet isn't working very well.
Yeah, and that's it. Woo.
Yeah, Pat was predisposed this weekend anyways because of racing.
Yeah, which seems cool, but then I checked in with a little bit of his stream and I'm like, this is a lot more complicated than I would ever want to deal with personally.
Yeah. Oh, we don't have Andre, so we don't have your partner's favorite. Okay.
I thought of one.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Wait, did you
do
think
yours
of one?
and yeah, you do yours and then I'll do mine. Then we're gonna do a double.
Okay. Your partner's favorite space opera.
Oh, well, that's Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Come on.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then I can guess yours.
Yeah, Star Wars.
The one I was going to go for is your partner's favorite word that differs between regions.
Oh.
In our case of clothespin versus clothespeg. I also like flashlight versus torch.
Oh, that's a good one. Have you ever done any of those quizzes that are like pinpoint your regionality to this? And I guess a lot of those are mostly very US centric, so I don't know if they would be as Canada focused, but there's a lot of very specific language. What was the one that I was really into the other day? I like thinking about these things, and I'm like, I remember one that I was thinking about that I was really happy about, but
I'm going to assume it's British, because usually the British ones are the weirdest.
They're very good.
The difference between biscuit and biscuit, or chips and chips.
That's always good. Yeah, I can't think of it.
That's okay. We have a whole episode for it to come back.
I like when like cotton candy is where it's called fairy floss. I think that's very cute.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Because for me, like it looks like cotton candy because that's what I grew up with. But fairy floss is just such a cute name.
That's true. Okay, I also like the difference between British, our elevator, and the British lift.
Lift. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's also one of my favorites.
Yeah, I feel like every so often something like that goes kind of viral, and then I'm always just like, Sam, tell me if this is true.
Is salad cream a real thing?
Oh my god, I forgot that one. Oh no. Yeah, we're like, Sam, tell us this is true. He's like, yeah, I don't see what the big deal is. You're just like, there's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
Well, do you know what suspenders are in the UK? Like, you know what Pickle wears?
Yeah,
they're called braces.
Oh, what?
Yeah, like what you would get on your teeth. They're called braces.
Yeah. Huh.
And ice cream sprinkles. They are called hundreds and thousands.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's a whole thing in the US too, where there's people who call those jimmies, and then there's like, are those really jimmies or?
Yeah. So welcome to Gaming Fix.
I don't know. There's something kind of magical of when we realize that something that feels super obvious to you is different to everybody else. So
yeah,
that's
such as I didn't know that the Canadian pronunciation of bagels is weird. I had to think about how to pronounce it the American way.
Yeah, bagels.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay, but the thing is though, one place where Canada shines with that is that Montreal bagels are better than American bagels by far.
Yeah, Montreal bagels are good.
They're good.
They're good.
I ate a lot of bagels when I was in Montreal.
Like New York bagels are also good, but Montreal is like a whole different thing because they have the Montreal smoked meat, which is just divine.
Well, there's something where they're kind of like there's like a crunch on the outside, but it's soft. It's just those were so good.
So everyone go to Montreal.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, not right now, mind you.
Not right now. I mean, I honestly, when I go back to traveling, I want to go back to Montreal because it's a very lovely place. I'd also like to go over to your neck of the woods in Canada because I've only feel like because that
nowhere else
seems fun.
Nowhere else I love to travel, Allison.
Where?
To the Citadel. And to visit some old friends.
Yes, we're visiting old friends. That was a good segue here because Mass Effect Legendary Edition is here. Yay!
I think you and I were the only two people psyched for it.
I know. And I'm like, okay, I love talking with everybody on this podcast, but I was kind of like, ooh, Alex is probably going to be jazzed with me about this. So I was a little excited about just talking with you about how much I love Mass Effect and how much I'm enjoying playing Mass Effect for the millionth time, but on my PlayStation 5 right now. Yeah. So yeah, it looks real good. It looks really good. So yeah, I'm a few hours into it so far. I played a little bit last. 1? Yeah, and the Mass Effect 1. I'm just doing a giant like all Mass Effect playthrough, hopefully this year, where I play through the whole trilogy again with this legendary stuff, and then also play all the DLC that I never played, and just enjoy my universe.
Yeah, like there's a lot of DLC, and it's almost all included.
Yeah, I think the only stuff that they didn't include was like there's some weird stuff with Mass Effect 1 where they're like, look, the code for this is fucking broken. Like, we can't do it.
We can't recover this.
Sorry. We can't recover this. Like, there's a lot of like, apparently, like with Mass Effect 1, a lot of the visuals are really up-res, which look really good. Like when you first step out onto your first planet of Eden Prime at the beginning of Mass Effect 1, I was just like, this is really good looking. I was like genuinely surprised at how good it looked. But with one of the things that's a little interesting with the characters is that apparently they couldn't do anything to the animations without basically breaking everything. So they
sounds like coding.
Text. So they have like new textures and everything looks good, but it's the exact same old animations underneath them. So like there is a little bit of that like classic Mass Effect jank in there, but it's like, oh, that character looks good. And yeah, okay, that is the same old animation that I saw a million years ago.
I hope that some of the old glitches remain, like when there's the gif of Shepard's head like doing a full 360 as he's turning to see someone. Like I hope some of those are still in there, but it looks way better.
It looks really good. Like there are certain times where I didn't know how much I was expecting. I saw a lot of people doing visual comparisons where they were kind of iffy, but there have been, especially like a lot of the environments you're wandering around, they look beautiful, which I think is really fun because one of the things I really love about Mass Effect 1 in particular is just that kind of exploration of the environments. So I feel like that's really been fun, is to just kind of be able to explore again. And it feels almost a little bit new, even though there are certain moments where I'm like, yeah, like where I know that Normandy inside and out, there, especially like that first mission on Eden Prime, I'm like, oh yeah, here's where Ashley shows up. And then Ashley just shows up and I'm like, yeah, I know what's going on here. That's one of the games that I feel like I probably know the best, kind of like that. So, so it's like visiting an old friend, but also it's like, oh, you've really taken care of yourself, old friend, and
not changed at all.
And not changed in a weird way. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I think is really fun about this edition, is that it's not trying to do something like, from what I understand, the Resident Evil remakes are doing, where they're like basically we're taking the
but
different games, yeah,
same scenario, yeah.
right. Whereas this is still Mass Effect. It's still it's still very much Mass Effect, but it's pushed in different direction. It's like kind of gently molded to be kind of a better version of Mass Effect, which is fun. So it's I think if you're somebody like me that really thinks very highly of the series, and it's going to be a really good time for you, because it's just like, oh, this is the game I love, but like they've made some of the combat a little less janky in one, which I mean, I didn't even really mind that much, but it feels nicer. They've adjusted some of the physics with the Mako, which again is something I didn't really mind, but you know, it's nice. So it's just been really fun to play and just be like, oh, my friends are here, and then you get like you meet Rex again, and I'm like, yes, I love you, and that's how I feel about all these characters, because it's like that's the thing about these games in particular, is that so much of it is character driven, that when you see your old friends, you're just kind of like, it's them. And it's very nice. So it's very cozy too to play this again. So I've just been really having a good time with rediscovering an old favorite of mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, so obviously they changed the visuals.
Yeah.
They changed things like the Mako and the combat. Have they done any other updates? Like, did they add any new voice acting or redo any voice acting?
I don't think so. You know, there might be some later on, but everything sounds extremely what I remember it to be. And I know that it's like they didn't just like replace any of the voice actors or anything, so I don't think so. And like there are specific voice lines that I'm like, oh yeah, that's the old one. Like there's certain ones where I might not be able to pinpoint it, but there are certain ones where there's certain inflections that are just so familiar that it's just like, yeah, this is the, yeah, but
ingrained within
it, oh, 100%. There are specific things that are ingrained with me, and part of that is also the fact that I've seen a lot of people joking about this. I am back to playing the exact same way that I've always played Mass Effect.
Totally.
Even though it's a series that it's like about choices, I'm just like, yep, I'm back to being a Paragon. I'm back to playing the Vanguard. I'm like,
that's
war
exactly
hero
how
colonist.
That's exactly how I played it. Vanguard. Yep. Just
Yep. Yeah, and there's big choices that are going to come up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm saving Kaidan instead of Ashley.
Yep, later, Ashley.
Bye, Ashley. Shouldn't have been a space racist.
Wait, speaking of Kaidan,
yeah,
you made some decisions today, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, they're so a lot of the voice actors from Mass Effect are doing like events and things today, which is very cool. I paid like $50 to get a signed picture of Kaidan from the voice actor of Kaidan. So that's where I'm at right now, because I just saw that on Twitter and I was like, I think I need this right now. So someday, very soon, I'm going to have a picture on my wall that is a picture of Kaidan Lenko, and it'll be great.
and then a bunch of Pokemon Snap printouts.
And a bunch of Pokemon. We were talking about how earlier I am this close to buying one of those printers where you can print out photos from Pokemon Snap. So that's where, yeah.
Have you seen the latest Seth Everman video that he just put out?
No, I haven't.
It's worth it. And one of the things he does is he goes to ostensibly eBay and picks up a bunch of fat Pikachu Pokemon cards.
Oh, bless.
And he literally covers an entire wall in them.
Oh my god. I need to watch that, because fat Pikachu is the best Pikachu. Mm-hmm. Them slimming Pikachu down like they do. This is the worst comparison. Like they did with Garfield is the worst.
70s Garfield is pretty great. He's just a lump.
He's just a lump, and then they suddenly like made him like this very like slender cat,
spherical almost cat.
Yeah,
like sphere.
Yeah, sphere, legs, tail. Arms, tail. Yeah, Whereas I'm like, Fat Pikachu has a character to it, and
Totally.
yeah, to the point where when they use that as in Sword and Shield as the Gigantamax, I was just like,
Yes.
you won me over, Game
Yeah,
Freak. Like,
I did appreciate that too. But
yeah,
yeah, Mass Effect seems good. But did you ever finish Mass Effect 3? Because like for me,
oh yeah,
I got halfway through it, and I was just like, I love Mass Effect 1 and 2, but I can't finish it.
I
I
I am a Mass Effect 3 defender, but at the same time, I'm also a Mass Effect Andromeda defender, so my opinion might be completely worthless about Mass Effect. But
I doubt that.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where I just love the universe and the characters so much that I'm willing to just push through, even if it's not, even if there's a, like the first several hours, like even as somebody that's an Andromeda defender, the first several hours of Andromeda are rough, which is bad because that's the hours people most played and then gave up, and it's like they're not good. But I'm willing to push through it because there's something that is just so appealing about this universe. And like I don't know, like having missions on a spaceship is very much like my wish fulfillment type things for a game. So I'm just like,
Totally.
I'm willing to push through anything to make that happen. So, but I actually like 3 quite a bit, even if it's the controversial one before they had an even more controversial one. But
Yeah. For me, I never even got to the ending, so that wasn't my issue with it.
yeah,
But I'd be interested in doing your same journey of 1 to 3, just do it all again, because I haven't played Mass Effect 1 probably in
yeah,
damn near 10 years.
yeah. It's been a while for me too, and it's very fun to revisit, especially since I think the crew in 1 is maybe my favorite crew,
Yeah, same.
because there's just a lot of, like, I feel like all of the characters are just so really likable for me, where I'm just like, I love all of them, and they're all just such strongly made characters. I'm just like, I just like hanging out with all of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I have to say it is, from what I've seen, it is the game that they tweaked the most, considering that 2 and 3, they definitely adjusted the like the combat quite a bit between 1 and 2 to make it a little more streamlined and everything. And so that they kind of added some of that back into 1 right now, which I don't know if anybody's like, I was super attached to the combat in Mass Effect 1. So I mean,
I liked it enough. Like, do you still get to pause the combat and issue orders and pick up
yes,
different
do like
equipment,
biotic stuff. Yeah.
and different equipment with different stats? Like,
Yes.
okay, then it's probably fine.
Yeah. And then from what it feels like, the Mako, like the maps are still largely the same. They've made the Mako, I think, a little bit more weighty and more difficult to like kind of roll over
And yeah,
get stuck. Like I got stuck once and I was like, I'm back in Mass Effect, man. I'm stuck in the Mako. How this is it. But it's pretty easy to get it out, because I think that they made it a little bit more weighty and maybe have a little bit more traction to the wheels. So it's very rare that there's a mountain that's not climbable with it, which again,
ain't no mountain high enough for the
exactly for the Mako. And again, as Mako defender, I'm like, oh, this is great, but I mean, it's still largely a lot of the same stuff. But the reason I like it is just that it feels like you're really just exploring this universe and kind of, oh, here's this world we don't know much about, and let's get on there. Oh, there's a giant sandworm, which I just did, and that one where you're just like, oh, let's go over here. Like it feels like there is this real sense of discovery, which is what I really like about those Mako segments. So even if
So one question. So one thing I really did like more about Mass Effect 1 versus 2 and 3 was the way how almost every side mission took place on its own planet.
Mm-hmm.
Like even though the planets in Mass Effect 1, they kind of sucked. They all looked kind of the same, made of like
They're all
prefab
kind of
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, has that remained?
Yeah. You
Okay.
still have the large galaxy map where you're going around. You might enter a solar system and you're like, somebody's like, hey, FYI, there's some trouble. This person's being held hostage. Can you come figure it out? And then you go to that planet and you wander around the planet and you find the stuff. And it's largely pretty much the same of that, which I personally really like.
Yeah. You even saying that's like, man, Mass Effect 1 was really like a really, really, really long Star Trek episode.
That's why I like it. I just like that very much that to be honest, like even
campy almost.
Oh my gosh. Well, to be honest, like I like a lot of the overarching story of dealing with the Reapers and everything, but I wouldn't have minded if it was just like, hey, you're this person, you got a ship, you gotta go do missions and stuff, have fun. Like I would have kind of dug just that with Mass Effect or a sequel or anything. So
yeah,
like
and you got Saren in Mass Effect 1, so you even got like a very visible antagonist that has like personality and
Saren is fucking rad. Like he shows up and you're just like these are good people.
Smarmy.
So smarmy. And then you have Keith David as Anderson and you're just like, oh my God, this is so good. I just love these games so much. Totally. So I'm very happy, and this is very fun. It makes me a little bit sad because I know that the likelihood of BioWare being able to make games like this again is kind of low, considering nobody except me and only me liked Andromeda, and then you had there's just a lot of mess with BioWare, but. The games that they did make that are really good are just hit very specific, like sweet spots for me where I'm just like,
totally.
I'm just so glad these games exist. Please, BioWare, do this again, but for Dragon Age Origins, thank you.
Please, BioWare, do this again, but for Jade Empire.
Oh. I didn't play much of Jade Empire because I played it several years after the fact, and it was just like it was so jank on my computer that I just could not. It was just like not really feasible to play it. So, but I wanted to play more of it, but I was just like, this game is very jank right now, and I have other things to do. But
I played it on original Xbox, I think, that I borrowed from my friend. Let's say it may or may not have been modded, and it was a great experience. Like, that game rules. Like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say, especially this week, that it feels like the golden age of BioWare kind of ended around Mass Effect 1, maybe Dragon Age Origins, somewhere around there.
Yeah, no, I'd say that where they kind of went from being like, oh, they're doing their own thing to being kind of, that arm of EA to being that AAA developer. Whereas I feel like there is something kind of special about a lot of their older games. I'd like to go back someday and play some of the like way older stuff from BioWare.
MDK2?
Yeah, just like
MDK2 rules.
Yeah, just play some of their older various things. But I personally would say that I stand for Dragon Age Origins probably being that, but at the same time I love Mass Effect 2. I love all the other Mass Effect games. I think Dragon Age 2 is quite underrated, even if the
dungeon design
dungeons
stuff
are bad. Where you're like, this is the exact same map I played like 30 minutes ago. That seems
it's just the door moved over a little bit.
Exactly. Where you walk in the map and you're like, this feels very familiar.
For what it's worth, MDK2, blew my mind as a kid because I mean, I grew up in Alberta, and what happens at the very start of MDK2 is like, oh, there's a city under attack, and it's Edmonton, and I'm like, I've been there. That's like an hour north of where I live. Oh no, it's Edmonton.
Oh man, I have felt the exact same way, but about Minnesota and things. So I feel you, where you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, it's the place that I've been.
Yeah.
Like there have been times where they do that in like the Mall of America, and I'm like, I go there sometimes. Yeah, but no, it's playing it is a little bit like kind of sad where you're like, oh, it would be nice that BioWare didn't eventually become
Formulaic.
yeah, the it didn't eventually put out Anthem, but at the same time it's
And the Old Republic to an extent.
yeah, I mean I try to play the Old Republic a lot because I love like Knights of the Old Republic a lot, and so I'm like, okay, I want to get there at least through the story, but I was just like, I don't want playing this.
Yeah. I had a friend try and convince me to play it as well, and I played like 2 or 3 hours, and I was like, no.
No, I tried to play more of it, but so it's like, but it's nice to, at least for me, be like, man, this game, Mass Effect still holds up.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I don't know, that they do this, give this thing to Dragon Age Origins, because that's it. I feel like I like the Mass Effect universe better than I like the Dragon Age universe, but Origins might be my favorite BioWare, like overall.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Just because they're
yeah.
Yeah. So that's, but it would sure be nice if we also got this kind of treatment for Knights of the Old Republic. Anyways.
KOTOR 2, was that Obsidian?
That was Obsidian, yeah.
Yeah. So they would never get both of those in one pack, probably, unless EA did it rather than BioWare.
Yeah, I mean that'd be cool if they could, though.
Yeah, it would.
But anyways, I maybe I've rambled about Mass Effect enough, but there's something about the series that does that to me, and it's yeah.
Mass Effect is so strange because I would also say it's one of my favorite series, but only 1 and 2. Even only bearing 1 and 2 in mind, that it's still like one of the all-time greatest. But it had every potential to be like the best trilogy in all of gaming. That it just it kind of whiffed the ending. Like even if, like I imagine, even though you enjoy 3, like I imagine that it's probably you can recognize
like the ending.
Well, not just the ending. Like the last chapter of the trilogy was not the strongest. Where it had every potential. It had every potential to be the strongest,
to be the best. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that the fact that it is so, I feel like there was always going to be a potential for it to be controversial in some way, because everybody was always going to be, why didn't my choice to give that person an autograph at the beginning of Mass Effect 1 come back into the play for the fucking finale? Like, people would be mad that all of their choices didn't come together as like one giant thing.
The diamond shape.
Regardless.
Yeah, the diamond shape where it fans out and then it has to come back at some point.
Right. And it's like, you get it to, like, especially with, AAA game development, you kind of know that has to be like that. And you know that they can't just have like 500 endings based off of individual choices. That's just not feasible in any sort of way.
Yeah, unless you're Heavy Rain.
But like, it's not feasible. But at the same time, I think that, even regardless of necessarily fan response, it could have been a game that people, especially people who are looking at games critically or people who are reviewing it, could be like, wow, this is, like it could have been maybe even like up there as like best game of all time. I mean, considering the people, like the reaction people had to Mass Effect 2, especially.
Yeah.
Like
3 was a weird situation where it was a combination of things, it seemed like, where it was a lot of ambitions in 1 and 2, that like they were largely delivering on. Like 1 and 2
Yeah.
were pretty ambitious, and then like yeah, you were doing a lot of changes that were switching or like changing your experience game to game. Like especially if you think about things like yeah, do you let Ashley or Caden live? Do you let Rex live? How does the suicide mission go for you? Things
Yeah.
like that, where like yeah, those definitely have big implications in future entries. But 3, it seems like when it was coming out, was a combination of having to wrangle in all of those ambitions and tie all the threads in a satisfactory way. Then also it seemed like it was one of the heaviest times when EA was like exerting its influence, and that's why you had like a good part of the team splitting off to do the multiplayer mode, and like how they locked up what's his name, the Prothean from
Oh,
in behind DLC.
yeah. There were a
Like,
lot of cool characters behind DLC, which was not great.
yeah, and it's like man, that the third game, it feels like part of it was ambition catching up with them, and then a big part of it seemed like EA just kind of stifling all of it.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's. Let me see if I can find. I know that they've released stats about the Mass Effect choices, which are very weird. Oh yeah,
Oh, Javik was his name, by
the
the
number
way.
of people who play male Shepherd over instead of female Shepherd is like, do you not have good opinions?
What
Most
is
people
it?
play as soldier, which is weird. Well, okay, this is about Mass Effect 2 specifically,
Oh, okay.
before Mass Effect 3 came out. And 82% of people played as male Shepherd.
What? But
Right,
Jennifer Hale's so
exactly.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jennifer Hale is amazing as Shepard. And playing this,
Yeah.
I'm like reminded, I'm like, you are so fucking good as
I mean, Mark Meer's
Shepard.
good too. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Like,
but,
there's nothing wrong with him. But at the
but
same
Jennifer
time,
Hale rules.
yeah. Let me see if I can find the Ashley or Caden, because most people chose Ashley, which was very, very surprising to me.
Cause lady, I guess.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's another romance option. Ho ho. Even though she's just terrible.
I mean, I have called her in to my friends space racist Ashley very much. Oh yeah,
She
like
is.
I mean, it's accurate, but anyways, yeah, I can't find it, but
It's okay.
yeah. Anyways, play Mass Effect. I don't know where
I thought you just said
It's
beep.
B.
I'm like beep.
beep. That is the one thing about Mass Effect that I wish there were more of were good robots. Not enough good
What?
like.
There's at least one. You got Legion.
Yeah, Legion's great. Like nothing to say against Legion, but like you need to have cute robots like Star Wars droids.
Oh, what are the little dudes that run around the Citadel? The little tiny ones?
They're not like really
Not the collectors. The little
That-
robots.
like not the keepers.
No, sorry, not the keepers. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I can't remember their name.
I
Whatever.
guess, but you don't really. I don't know. I just want more cute robots that you could hang out with, or more like Knights of the Old Republic type robots.
Totally.
Anyways,
Okay. So the hood of a car in the UK is a bonnet. What is a trunk again?
boot.
Boot. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Put it in the boot.
Anyway, so that's Mass Effect. I'm excited to play all the DLC because that, for some reason, never went on sale a lot of the time. So I was just like, I don't want to pay $20 for that. But at the same time,
All the DLC.
yeah, now there's all this DLC in here. So
Yep.
except for specific amount, because the Pinnacle Station DLC is not in there because they lost the source code.
Yep. And they couldn't recreate, and they're like, nah,
They're like, nah. And honestly, like,
who cares?
same. Like
That one
I don't know
didn't-
anybody that was like,
happen.
oh, this is non-negotiable, but
Yeah. Because there's like 60 DLCs or something over the.
there's a lot of DLC.
Okay, I got another one.
Mhm.
Aluminium.
Oh, that's a good one too. All right. Anywho, I think that's enough time. So we're gonna go jump over to what you've been playing, which is I don't know how to make a good transition. I'm not Andre, but you've been playing Near, and
Yeah.
you finished the E ending. So how's that been?
Yeah, so I guess if we're talking about games from around the 2010s,
Yeah,
getting a
yeah,
remake in this modern era, I have been playing another one of those, which is Nier Replicant, and I think I've been talking about it for like 3 weeks now. So,
yeah, yeah.
because it ain't a short game. I think my final clock was somewhere around 60-ish hours to get it, maybe 65-ish, and I did pretty much 100% of everything except for upgrading all the weapons, which takes forever. And it's just literally just grinding, grinding and getting materials and stuff, which is all RNG based. And it's like, you know what?
Not about
I'm
that
good.
life.
Yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. But as it stands, nah. So yeah, I finished. I think by last week I'd finished ending A and I'd started B, and now this time I have finished B, C, D, and E. So if y'all aren't familiar with how Nier works, that game doesn't end at the credits.
No, you play it once
Uh,
and you've seen like barely anything,
totally.
or
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like that became very clear in Nier Automata, where the B playthrough, it starts different. Like you start the game over and you're playing as a robot. Not as in an android, not as in 2B or 9S, you're playing as one of the enemy robots. In
Man,
a
I
very,
really need to play Near, huh?
it's really good. But like it's
You
very
had me
clear.
as you get to play as a robot.
Yep. And it's very clear that like, oh, you're getting a completely different perspective on everything now. And so you also get that Nier Replicant, and bear in mind, Nier Replicant is much older. It's like 8 years older than Nier Automata, because it was in like 2009, 2010 that originally came out, and with a much lower budget. So a lot of parts of it aren't the most ambitious. The side quests are pretty much all fetch quests.
I mean,
Like
that's kind of how it was at that time, though.
totally. And like you're only really working within like 4 areas. Like you got your village, you've got this area to the south, this area to the north, and this area to the west. And that's kind of it. So it's reusing a lot of areas. It's like you can tell it's a game made with a small budget in terms of where you're working with. But the thing is, kind of like Mass Effect and the characters, it becomes your familiarity with those areas and it makes them feel cozy in a way like that's kind of unique. And it's like, oh, I get to go back here. Yes, what are we gonna like, what's changed, what character, what are my favorite characters up to and stuff like that. So that's a really cool aspect of it. And with Near Automata, where each ending is very clearly something different is happening, like you start it and it's like, oh, this is 100% different. No, in Near Replicant, every time you start it, it starts you from the same point with like almost the exact same events happening and you playing the exact same stuff. And then there's slight changes that happen along the way, like stuff that's almost subtle. I don't really want to spoil it what it is for the B playthrough, but you do get another perspective. You get a character you didn't know was joining you, providing their perspective and being able to hear them, even though they were there the whole time, which lets you kind of understand more about the enemies you're facing. That's all I'll say. And boy, howdy, does that game make you feel like a complete piece of shit at some points.
Oh,
Like,
it's one of those.
yeah, it's like, I don't want to do this, but you can't progress without doing it. So here we go. And it's really good. The one thing I will say is the C playthrough wasn't my favorite. I think the story payoff it has is very good, but you're doing 90% of the same stuff without much content change before you get to the
Gotcha.
ending. And then when you get to the ending, it's really good. And then the E ending, without spoiling, because this is the ending that's brand new to this version of the game. You are playing probably 2 or 3 hours of exact same content that you have played before. Like you can kind of speed run it, you can kind of skip cutscenes because none of that is changing. It is literally exactly the same, but you reach this one point where it is monstrously different, and from there it's just complete. Like you have taken a fork in the road. Instead of going left, you've gone right, and everything is different. And actually, by the end of E, I understood why they had you replay those 2 or 3 hours to recontextualize, because you've probably forgotten some of the stuff that happened way back then, and it worked, and it was really good. And the story revelations that it provides are pretty buck wild. So ending E is worth experiencing. If you care about Nier, you should probably get to it, even though it's hard to get to, because it rips. To put it lightly, it's really, 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 really interesting. And it does stuff that I, at first, was like, are you going to do this? Is this actually the direction you're going to go? Oh, yeah. Yep, you are. That's weird. Okay, yeah. And then the execution, I was like, am I cool with this? And then as it kept happening, I was like, yes, this is awesome. And I later learned that the ending at E was originally supposed to be in the first release of the game, but they didn't have the budget for it, and it was also very
that's one of the cool things I think about like re-releases, where I feel like a lot of people are talking about like understandable questions of should we preserve the old versions? And I think we should, but at the same time I feel like with a lot of things like this where they're able to present the version that they wanted to present 10 years ago, but they weren't able to. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, which if you actually listen to or read articles with Yoko Taro, that's specifically why he calls it version 1.22474487129, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at my video. That looks right. Okay. Anyways, because most of the story content that was in all of the story content that was there in the original is still here. It has just been augmented. It is a version upgrade. Which is why, it has this full new ending with like some pretty buck wild cutscenes and all new assets, like all new areas, all new assets, and just all this stuff that, looking at what they do with it, 100%, I can see why they wouldn't have the time or budget to do this.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's actually pretty crazy. And I went and read some of the other differences after I finished, just so I wasn't spoiling myself at all. And how to put it, there were subtle differences, again, with like kind of little forks along the way, where you don't actually get any agency in those, but it's a difference between playthrough. Like there's a difference between B and C, where you go through this one encounter and it has a different outcome, but that different outcome means a whole new set of assets, a whole new set of animations, just like all this new stuff, just for like a 5 to 10 minute thing. And they didn't have time or funds to do it back then. So this is kind of the Game of the Year edition. It's the remake that fans should want. But going in, Nier Gestalt and Replicant had kind of a reputation for being hard to get into. And it has a lot of kind of busy worky kind of stuff you have to get around to get to the good stuff. That remains true. Nier Automata is a more streamlined experience. You can tell they had 8 years of iteration and experience and like just lessons they learned to make it better. But this one, you're kind of getting this. Most of the warts have been, freeze dried off and removed, but there's still some scars there that you have to acknowledge. And that's why I would say, for me, it's a 10 out of 10 game. I love it. However, I don't think I would recommend it to everyone. Like, I don't know if I would wholeheartedly recommend it to you if there's parts of this that like you seem like you wouldn't have patience for to see the full experience.
That is the thing that makes me the most nervous about it. Is I'm really interested in seeing the story of both this and like Automata, like through all the way through. But there does feel like there is a lot of repetition, busy work to get to the good parts. And there's just so many video games out right now that in a lighter amount of time, in a lighter time where there weren't quite so many games, I might be like, sure, I have all this time, but also, do I have that much time now? Eh, who's to say? But I feel like I want to push through and play it. I'm going to ask you what I asked you before. Should I play Nier Replicant first or Automata first?
Having finished this, I feel as though if you finished this first, it's tough to say, honestly, because it would give you a lot of context for what's happening in Automata, like without having to think about it. You just be like, oh, that's what this reference. Oh, cool. That's what this area is. Oh, that's what this character is, and stuff like that they're talking about or you're seeing. It's like, but if you're going into Automata blind, you don't get any of that context. But in a way, it's built with that in mind, because you're playing as those two androids, 2B, 9S. They don't have any of that context. So the way they're reacting to these things is very just dry. It's like, what's this? I don't know. Which that's what you're reacting to it as. And I think if you had that context, you as the player would be like, oh, fuck yeah, pumping your fist, being like, oh yeah, that's Kaine's shed, and look at all those lunar tears. And like, I say those words to you, and that probably just eyes glaze over, and you're just like, what? Okay.
Huh?
What is a lunar tear? Okay, who cares?
It sounds like some anime ass stuff, so I feel it, but
it isn't even. It's a flower.
Yeah.
But like, what is the significance of that? You have to play a full 60-hour game to really get it.
Yeah.
But so like, if you want that full experience, then I would say, sure, play Replicant first. But if you are intrigued by playing the more polished experience first, and kind of, having the best possible Nier experience you can have with your first go round, and if you really like it by the end, like by the time that ending happens, then yeah, go back to Replicant, because it'll answer all of your questions and it'll recontextualize a lot of Automata for you in some really cool ways. So I think I would recommend Automata first still.
Okay.
Even though I think Replicant is really good. So, yeah. I want to talk about Ending E, but I can't. It's something that people should experience. Oh man, it is buck wild.
See, that's the thing. I want to get to those experiences, so I don't know. We'll see. It's again, really I'm doing a full replay of Mass Effect trilogy, so I feel like I should probably enjoy some new games too sometime soon. But there's too many games, I guess, because I also, if Andre was here, he was going to talk about Resident Evil Village, and I vaguely want to play that too, even though I've never. Well, I played a decent amount of 4 until I got annoyed with it, but
yeah,
I want to meet Tall Lady.
I do love that we Googled Tall Lady, and she's
it is the first one. It is all the results. I was like, okay, so we were basically like, I had the idea of like, is Tall Lady, would that come up with if you Google that?
Would she show up at all?
And it is all her.
Yes.
It is all Resident Evil Village. It's great. Anyways.
It's like a grid of pictures of her, and then every result underneath it is her. So
yes,
it's pretty funny. Strollers, the things you push babies around in?
Prams?
There's prams, but they also call them push chairs.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Push chair.
Okay, that is one thing I'm gonna be like, Sam.
Sam, are you messaging him right now?
Not right now, but
okay.
I mean,
tic-tac-toe.
It is, yeah.
Noughts and crosses.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah. That is weird.
Don't they call underwear pants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, anything else you want to say about Nier?
I would really love to have a spoilery talk about parts of it, but
yeah,
I don't think this is the venue to do so. And
no.
I would not like to spoil some of the coolest parts of that game, because they're worth experiencing fresh.
Yeah, so. I liked, I'm going to try to get into it at some point, because I from what I've heard, I've tried to keep be as spoiler free as possible, but I love good story bits, so I'm hopefully going to get into that. So
The only thing
See?
I would say is
yeah.
if you, but also people in general listening, if you're not familiar with the works of Yoko Taro,
Mhm.
be aware he is extremely nihilistic in his writing.
Yeah,
you are
and so that's the
you are not
thing.
going there for a good time.
Right, and that's the other thing too, is that I feel like that is very opposite of my personal worldview. So it's like, man, I don't know how I feel about that, but at the same time, I want to experience good stories. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
and it for what it's worth, it does have enough hope in it that you're not just constantly depressed. But
yeah,
but yeah, there's some stuff in there that's very rough.
yeah.
Do you know what British people call baked potatoes?
Jacket potatoes.
Yeah, jacket potatoes.
I like that one a lot, actually.
Or the apartment building.
What?
So you know an apartment is a flat,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
an apartment building is a block of flats. And then you got the first floor of a block of flats being called the second floor.
Oh yeah, that's fucking weird.
Anyways, is that what we got for games, Allison? We could talk.
I
You weren't here the one week I talked about Turnip Boy, where I said I think you came away from it the same way I did, which is like,
I played
this is
like
okay.
a decent amount. I played a few hours of it. It was I wanted to like it better than I did because it's cute, but
It leans
some of
really
the-
hard on the meme
some
stuff.
of the meme writing got a little much.
Yeah.
Like the best part of the writing was having Turnip Boy rip everything up. That was the
That
one
was-
part
that
where
was
I was
cute.
just like,
Like,
I like this.
That's the only way he can interact with any piece of paperwork, basically, is like, oh, rip it up. Oh, here's this picture of your family. I'm going to rip it up. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Here's a check for $1 million. Like, you know, that's, yeah, no, it's, that's one of those things where I liked that a lot. And I wanted to like it because that's also one where I saw the title which the full title is
Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
And I thought, yes, this is a game I would like to play. But I just thought it was fine. And I felt that the gameplay was kind of and that a lot of the,
Yeah.
you know,
Zelda E and also kind of Bullet Hell E in places.
yeah. And a lot of the things were, but I wanted to like it more. But
If it intrigues you, the ending is really interesting. Like the last act is it takes a turn, which you can kind of see coming if you're paying a lot of attention. But it takes a turn, and the turn it takes is very, very strange.
yeah, if I have some time, maybe I'll get back into that because it's one thing I would enjoy, but like I want to like, but
It's fine.
anyways,
I'm not as hot on it as some people are. Anyways.
I've also I don't need to talk about it, but since I have my Vita now, I've for whatever reason been playing a lot of Hot Shots Golf on my Vita. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at. I don't know why.
I mean, Hot Shots Golf is good, but
No,
that's not what I was expecting.
No, and it's not what I was expecting to be playing a lot of today, but it's a very good thing to play while watching TV, I find, because it's very good to like where you can just kind of set it down if you're in the middle of something. And so it's a very good multitasking game. And for whatever reason, I just really like video game golf for some reason. So
Did you ever play Desert Golf or golfing? I can't remember.
I think I did, maybe. I don't know if I did.
I didn't like it very much, but
I think I think I played a little bit of it, but I didn't really vibe with it.
fine.
But
it's basically just endless mini golf.
whereas I'm just like golf story, give me more golf story, please. That's where I'm at.
Sports story.
Sports
please.
story. I'm so excited about Sports Story. As somebody that does not follow sports at all, I love golf. I love video game golf for some reason. Anyways,
Did you play What the Golf?
yes.
Were you into it?
Now, I liked What the Golf. It was good. Yeah. It made me laugh out loud a few times, which is what I wanted. And I mean, I had it on Apple Arcade, so it's like
Right.
I wasn't really paying any money for it, and
Right.
yeah.
I forgot it was Apple Arcade. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But I like Golf Story and Hot Shots Golf / Everybody's Golf quite a bit. So I've been
I forgot about Everybody's Golf. Yes, they did the name change.
yeah, which is the actual title in Japan, but
in
then
Japan,
they changed
but
it
for North America. Yeah.
for North America. They just changed it to Hot Shots Golf for whatever reason. But I like that series a lot. So hey, that's the thing too, is that I don't know if I'd like to play a golf sim, like an intense you know, like
a PGA game.
Yeah, like something that got really serious about it. I like golf games that are a little bit, I don't know,
Arcadey.
Exactly. I like
Sure.
arcadey golf games. So
Totally.
yeah, so that's something I've been enjoying, and I'm
Mario Golf.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for Mario Golf. I am
It's
so
like
excited.
Speed golf mode or whatever it's called.
Oh my god, that looks so dumb. I am so into it. That's the thing. It's like, give me those dumb modes, and I am excited. And that's coming out next month. Oh my god.
Jeez.
There are too many video games.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna buy it right away because love that arcadey golf, and speed golf is so stupid.
And no self-control.
No.
Same.
No, oh my god, I don't. Especially when it comes to buying games. The Famicom Detective Club games just came out, and
this weekend,
yeah, I'm this close to buying both of them, even though I have no time to play them. But
totally.
I want to support that Nintendo is
that effort.
Exactly. The effort of like, let's port these NES detective games and put all this effort into making them modern. Like, it just seems very weird in a way that I would like to support. So yeah, totally. I like supporting that level of effort for games that nobody thought about. So
yeah.
Well, but it's kind of expensive though.
It is, but it's like many hours of content,
and they put a lot of effort into these, so we'll see. And I also like those kind of detective or kind of games, so
yeah.
We'll see.
Drugstores, do you know what they call those in the UK?
Oh god, I think I do. No.
The chemists.
Oh, the chemist, that's right. Oh wait, I need to find this for like Canadian slang so that you're like, this is totally normal.
Oh, here's one that's not Canadian slang, it's Saskatchewan slang. Vico.
Yeah.
Vico is chocolate milk.
What?
Then you got bunny hugs.
What?
A bunny hug is a hoodie.
What?
Yeah, Saskatchewan has some fun ones.
Yeah.
Anyway. News.
All right. Why is it okay? We're already at an hour, and there's just two of us. We're just like, I don't fucking know what this podcast is. Anyway, let's talk about some news. Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite game developer and publisher.
Yeah. Sure.
And they have delayed Skull and Bones, their piracy type game, again, which has been it has been delayed so much. And I think the thing that put it into perspective for me mostly was when somebody in our group chat, our podcast group chat, said that it was it's been announced longer than we've been podcasting. And considering considering we're on episode 172 of weekly episodes. We've it's been yeah, okay, yeah,
It's been
it's been yeah, there it looks like a lot of E3 2017 was when they were showing off a lot of it.
or
I
June
mean,
2017.
yeah.
That game is
Oh,
never coming out. Let's be real.
no.
That game is dead.
I mean, it's man, it's one of those things where I'd like having a pirate game would be cool, but at the
Yeah,
same
I mean,
time,
Did anybody? I mean, like Sea of Thieves obviously recovered, but I don't
I
know.
never really played it. Only because I
Yeah.
don't like multiplayer games very often is the thing. But I mean,
True.
I liked Assassin's Creed Black Flag quite a bit.
They should just finally rework and re-release that Pirates of the Caribbean game that got canceled. That apparently sounded really amazing.
My God, I would love that so much.
It was supposed to be really good, but
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't doubt it, and I feel like that is a universe that could very much support like a really fun, good video game, but at the same time, yeah, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean: Armada of the Damned, is that the one that you're
that's
thinking
the
of?
one.
Yeah,
It was made by the same people that made like Tron Legacy. But then
yeah, and it's like
Disney was like, "Lol, JK."
oh God, this would have been a good game. I have a fondness for the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, even if the first movie is the only good movie. But
Sure.
uh,
Yeah, that's the only one I really cared for as well. So yeah.
yeah, I mean, back in the day, in the mid 2000s, when the original sequels came out, I may have been active in that fandom. So
Yeah.
that was a
I
fucking
wasn't,
weird fandom. But anyways,
Those movies just got strange to
they
the
just
point
got
of like,
weird. I haven't seen 4, but then I watched 5 because it very
There's a fifth
specifically
one?
was there's a 5th one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is really bad. It is extremely bad. I watched it in part because it was very specifically dealing with very specific lore things that we as a fandom, I'm like, this is not compliant with what the lore was at the end of the 3rd movie. But and then I watched it and I was like, this movie is just shitty. So that's not.
It's not worth it.
Bad. The only thing that makes it possibly worth it is that, in my opinion, the best character of the entire series is Jeffrey Rush's character Barbossa, and
Oh sure.
he just like fucking loves to play that character, and he's just like hamming it up, and I'm like, any excuse to watch him do that is good. But that's the only. But that's the only reason I could say to watch the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which
For
is really bad. But
One character.
yeah, one character who's like was the antagonist, and now he's just like, I'm still here. I'm still here. But he is the best character, I think, in part because Jeffrey Rush clearly is just like, this is fun. I just get to ham it up as a pirate. I don't know.
Pirate what got tentacle face?
Oh, he doesn't have tentacle face.
Doesn't he?
No, that's in the sequels. He's in the first one where he's the main antagonist of the first one, and then he just kind of shows up in the sequels, and he was just like, "I'm here, I'm back, and I'm not an antagonist anymore." Sort of, one of those.
We're buddies, I guess.
We're buddies, I guess. But no, but I still think that the first Pirates movie holds up as being genuinely a really fun movie.
I haven't watched it since then, but totally.
I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I maybe I should go watch it tonight. Anyways, Skull and Bones, it is never coming out.
Yep, never.
Anyways, news.
Crosswalk. Do you know what that is in the UK?
What?
It's a zebra crossing.
Oh.
And to turn something counterclockwise, that is to turn it anti-clockwise.
Oh yeah, I like that one. So
okay, news.
Speaking of cross things, that is fucking, Sony is going to charge for crossplay in video.
That's not quite it, but yep, that was so good. I can't fault you.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just reading this in here. Oh, but they charged them. They're not charging anymore, but they did in the past. Okay.
Yeah, so like this came out of the Apple v Epic thing, where a document kind of came to light talking about how you remember when like Epic was like, oh, we're just accidentally turning on the crossplay between Xbox and PlayStation that one weekend.
Right, and Sony was like, nah, fam, not about that. But
they were, well, because Sony's narrative for so long was like, oh, it would be so much infrastructure to set up, and it would just be it would not be feasible for us to set this up and our developers to set this up. And Epic was just basically like, motherfucker, we push one button and it works. So it was clearly like,
it was clearly they were not being on the up and up as to why it wasn't
correct. Yeah,
what they were doing.
It was clearly Sony just being buttholes. And
honestly, yeah.
And this was also around the time when Sony was very much like in their whole like PS4 heyday, like they're at the height of the market, and they're like, oh yeah, like sharing games. Here's this pithy video taking the piss out of Microsoft, since we're going with Britishisms today. And like again, this was around the same time, same era, and so everyone's like, oh, Sony's the good guys, and it turns out no, they're not. What happened was in behind the scenes, there was like a bunch of emails that got leaked saying like, hey, yeah, we'll do crossplay, but we need to ensure that like if you the developer have registered your game with crossplay with us and some other platform, that if someone buys something on another platform, like something on an Xbox, that we get a cut of it,
which is buck wild.
Yeah, so basically they were saying, if you want crossplay, you got to give us our cut from all stores, because like they were never doing it for the players. They were just like concerned about their bottom line. And
oh yeah, I mean that's that. I feel like that was pretty understandable considering how it played out, where they're just like, we can't do it, it's just not possible, and then it was possible. But yeah, I did not see this, and now I'm like, on the one hand, it's like, wow, this is frustrating, but at the same time, I can't really be surprised. Yeah, and I'm not exactly shocked that Sony was doing this.
You're not exactly dual shocked.
Oh, I was gonna go for BioShocked, and I'm like, that's not relevant to anything here.
It was close enough.
Yeah, but anyway, this Epic Apple trial has been buck wild.
There's so much random shit that's come out of it, and like so much dirty laundry for the games industry as a whole.
I know. I need somebody to do just like a deep dive and just go through all of it. And I follow the
Isn't Rebecca Valentine? Isn't she doing one?
Oh, I should check that out.
I think she's been doing one. I would have to look it up again.
Yeah. I also really want the YouTube channel Legal Eagle to do
yes,
breakdown of all of this, because he knows quite a bit about like copyright law, and I think that's something that he practices in too. So this is a YouTube channel where it's an attorney who practices, and he's like an actual attorney, and he talks about like legal things that are happening in the news, but also like legal movies, TV, things like that. But he should cover. I hope he covers this. He's certainly covered a lot of other weird legal things that have
based stuff.
Yeah, and media things, and he definitely. I'm pretty sure that he's talked about copyright. He's very familiar with copyright law. He talked about the Nike Lil Nas X shoe stuff.
Really? I didn't actually know that.
Oh, that's funny. He has a whole video about that. But this has been wild. The whole thing with itch.io was bananas.
That was gross.
Where Itch was like they're talking about the unspeakable games that were on itch.io.
Yeah, we talked about that the other week. It was
unspeakable.
So
I just Googled this, and apparently somebody's making a game jam that's like the unspeakable jam.
Hell yeah.
On May 7th, 2021, a legal representative of Apple said that games on itch.io were so offensive we cannot speak about them. So it's time to make more, baby.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And there's 2 games that have been submitted so far. There's one that's like a game called Court Hearing 9000, so it's presumably like legal stuff, and one that is just called Dong. So
just Dong.
Just Dong.
Is
It's a Pong clone, but it's called Dong.
Is it like capital D lowercase ONG, or is it like all caps Dong?
Oh, I didn't check.
All lowercase Dong.
But that's I love it. I love how many devs and people are coming to the defense of itch.io about this, because it's like, come on. Yeah. Like, itch.io is so like great too, devs and everything, and they're the one company that last year did their gigantic bundle for Black Lives Matter, which is really rad, and looks like it. Okay, looks like the image in the thumbnail is all caps Dong, but then
Wonderful.
in the title it's D lowercase ONG. So I don't know.
Give me a second. I'm gonna Google Dong.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Anyways, moving on.
Speaking of, do you know what gotch is? That's a Canadianism.
No.
Gotch or gitch?
Like guy crotch?
No, it's underwear.
Oh. Wait, is that like, how common is that though?
It's a Saskatchewan thing, so not very.
Oh, okay. Man, it's Saskatchewan, just like, it's like, I don't know, it's their own.
They're their own
thing.
world over there, man.
Own world, okay.
Don't worry about it.
Anyways, next up is Resident Evil Village. First week's retail sales are the worst in 19 years, presumably for Resident Evil. I did not check. But tied for best global launch with Resident Evil 2 behind Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, I think Andre put this story in here, so I don't have the full context for it.
Evil Village sales. I'm Googling this. Okay.
Retail sales worst in 19 years.
Oh, it looks like the first week sales in Japan were the series worst in 19 years.
I was going to say that makes more sense, because the tied for best global launch makes sense that it would be outside of that localized area. I wonder
does
why.
Japan just not like tall ladies? We need to do like an investigative piece.
Japan's tall ladies.
Yeah.
And their daughters.
Anyways, yeah. So it's so outside of Japan, like Japan is I'm reading about a bunch of this. I'm trying to skim this while we're talking. A lot of these sales data that they're looking at this, which are with Famitsu, and they're looking at physical copies. So presumably digital copies are becoming more mainstream in Japan, like they are in. Well, I mean, to an extent, like a lot of their charts are still physical only, or still they do prioritize physical sales, but at the same time, especially since Japan right now is having such a big COVID spike right now, I can imagine that a lot of people who might buy a physical copy are going, no, or holding off, or I don't know.
But I also feel like, excuse me, it's been a long time. It's been for a long time in Japan, consoles and PCs haven't been the dominant platform.
Right, it's mobile.
It's mobile. So there's obviously not going to be any mobile version of this. There's not a Switch version of it. Like if it came out on Switch, it probably would have sold gangbusters. But I don't know how many. Yeah. I don't know how many households in Japan have a PS5 or a PC or.
Well, I mean, from speaking with Andre, it sounds like getting a PS5 in Japan is a nightmare and a half. But
I wonder if that's because they're not stocking any because they don't anticipate people buying them, or because they're selling out. Like I don't know which one of those it would be. So it's tough to say. Like I'm all that to say, I'm not super surprised that it sold better globally than it did in Japan. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's yeah. There's a whole lot of factors in there, and I don't know if it necessarily is reflective of any one thing, and just kind of more of lots of weird things all happening at once with the consoles and with COVID and with digital and with everything, and Japan apparently not being a fan of tall ladies. So,
yeah, I don't know. So whatever. I mean,
anyways,
that's fine. It seems like a good game. Sorry, Japan, that
it seems good.
you're
I'm
not getting
interested
it.
in playing it, but we'll see. Anyways, Sony apparently has 25 PS5 games in development, and almost half are new IP. Which, man, looking at the PS5 store, there is not a whole lot still. So I'm excited for more PS5 games. But
nothing exclusive, you mean, right?
right,
Yeah,
right. I mean, there's stuff in there, but it's not. I don't know. It's good. I see that yeah, and it's specifically like PlayStation Studios with Sony, so they're looking to pump out a lot of games.
I wonder if they're all going to be their kind of mega blockbuster style, or if they're actually going to go for like a, like a medium tier, smaller commitment kind of thing.
I would be really happy to see if they could put some more medium tier or even some kind of lower budget games in there, like just some interesting stuff. Because I feel like, I don't know, like I love playing those games, but I feel like I get like fatigue from them, if that makes sense. Like where I play
the bigger ones, you mean?
Yeah.
Like your God of War is your Last of Us.
Right. I play God of War and I'm like, I don't need to play a game like that for a while.
Which
and I don't know what it is.
It's like 90% of what Sony makes.
Exactly.
Third person action games with narrative.
Yeah, and I'm just like I played all of God of War. I liked it a lot, but then I was just kind of like, I'm good. I still want to actually finish Horizon Zero Dawn so that I can play the new Horizon game, but I don't know. We'll see. But but hopefully the way that they're saying that there's a lot of new IPs, and hopefully that means that they're not going to be these giant mammoth games like these, because the thing is that those cost a lot to develop as well.
Oh yeah.
Like those kinds of giant experiences. So if they're making 25, if they have 25 in the works, you'd have to assume that at least some of them are going to be kind of on a smaller scale.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of it feels like we've kind of lost the weird Japan that we would get in like the PlayStation 1 era of like what was the name of that game? The one where like you're that like Mr. Mosquito is something that comes to mind. But there's also
my first thought was Tokyo Jungle.
Oh sure, that's PS3.
It's not PS1, but that is weird.
It's great.
Yeah,
Tokyo Jungle's awesome.
That is a good game.
What is the name of that damn game? It's the one where you're like, it's like this Japanese family, and like at some point you're like rolling down a hill as the dad, and like going through an office building, and oh crap, I'd have to look it up. But
that sounds like a mix of I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds like a mix of Octodad and Katamari, which I am here for 100%. But
I'll look in the meantime.
But I don't know. I mean, like, it would be really nice if they were just like, they got some weird devs who are very much like make their own thing, just give them money and just go, I don't know, do what you want. Because I mean, I don't know if that they would necessarily, Sony as a company would necessarily do that, but I would love to see just weird games. Like, I don't know why Tokyo Jungle is one of the first things that came into mind, but it is a weird game. And it's
found it.
Yeah.
Incredible Crisis is what I was thinking of. But like, yeah, just like it feels like everything has become very safe, especially for like the first party studios. You don't see as many risks being taken on just weird shit.
Which is a shame, because the risk taking games are the ones that I like the best. So totally. It would be nice if they just kind of, what if they made another Mr. Mosquito?
Hell yeah. That game is so weird and so bad, but I love it.
I never
Incredible
played it, but
Crisis.
I've
You should look
yeah.
up some Incredible Crisis after this.
Oh,
It
but
is
I am
it is
going to. The way
very,
that you
very
described it,
strange.
I'm like, I need this in my life.
Yeah. It's just bonkers weird Japaneseness where like you're suddenly doing a dancing mini game and then you're like running full speed down a highway, like passing cars, and like there's submarines that are flying at you, and it's everything you want out of Japanese weirdness.
Right. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it would be really nice to have, if Sony was a company that would be willing to use their incredible amount of resources to not necessarily be safe, but to make a wide variety of weird, interesting games for their console. I don't know. I understand how expensive game development is, so that they want to be safe, but at the same time, not every game needs to be or should be the type of AAA experience of something like a God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn or Last of Us or something like that, where it's like just so, where the budgets for those are just like obscene. Whereas the budget for, I'm assuming, something like Incredible Crisis is not, not that high.
Yeah. And it's also just incredibly niche because
Yeah.
this was in the PS1 era, and it was like I think it was probably a Japan only release. So here in North America, you weren't playing that unless you imported it. And like,
No, they released it in America, North America.
Oh, they did?
Incredible
Okay,
Crisis, yeah.
wonderful. But like even that being the case, like it's still incredibly niche. And the thing is, like now with digital stores, like yes, the indies are definitely holding that banner high. Like
Yeah.
like we were talking about Turnip Boy. Like that's
Yeah.
weird. That's niche. That's something that a AAA studio wouldn't make, obviously.
Right, and then you have something like, even on the PlayStation, you have my beloved Bug Snacks. Like,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, that's also
have,
weird. But it's not
Yeah.
Sony making it.
no.
Granted,
But
I don't think they made Incredible Crisis either, but that's okay.
No, it was made by Polygon Magic.
No idea.
No, neither do I. But yeah, no, and I mean, part of it, this might be like in my day type thoughts, but I just remember the first time that I saw something like Katamari Damacy and being just like, what the fuck is this game? What the hell is this game? Or
what is this King of the Cosmos? What?
Like I distinctly remember being at a like a lock-in at my school library.
Oh,
One of that. Well, because I was part of my the Friends of the Library Club, and we had like twice yearly lock-ins. Did you say naturally? Yeah. Hey, I was one of the co-presidents in my senior year of high school, so
hell yeah.
Anyways, but we had these big lock-ins, and I just remember one year somebody brought a PlayStation PS2 and games, and one of the things that they were playing on like the screen was Katamari Damacy, and just being like, what the fuck is this game? I need this in my life. And I don't know, like watching stuff on, I don't know, like G4 or something, and seeing people be like, here's this weird game from Japan. And I don't miss the way that people talked about it. It's like, whoa, look at how weird Japan is. But at the same time, like there's a little bit of mystique about these kind of games being produced by these studios. And
because it was a different kind of creativity than what you saw in North America mostly.
Yeah.
It's just because it's like a lot of non sequiturs. It's a lot of just like, I mean, the concept behind Katamari, right? You are making a ball out of stuff, and it gets
and then
so
making
big.
it into a
like,
star.
It gets so big it takes over the world essentially. Like
and you go from rolling up little candies and pins to rolling up continents and
buildings and continents, and it's just incredibly creative and like just so different than what you were seeing in like Twisted Metal at the time and things like that.
Right. And I mean, you have like a lot of, like you said, indies taking the mantle of a lot of this, especially with stuff like with Katamari, kind of that similar feel, which I don't think was quite as good, was the game Everything, where
or
where
Wadham.
you play
or Wadham.
Yeah, or just like there's still those games, but at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have more major developer or major publishers or major developers or major consoles supporting those weird things. And I think that's probably why I like stuff like that Famicom Detective Club stuff, is because it's like it feels like they're like, wow, we're gonna do something really fucking weird because I don't know, but
Yeah,
we're gonna remaster these.
relatively
Niche.
lavish production value on
Right.
something that is niche. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but we're going to revamp this this niche detective game that was only released in Japan and put a lot of effort in. And that's the thing that I like. So that's what I wanted to see from it. And that's why I like, for as Nintendo's certainly not doing things perfectly, but that's why I like kind of play a lot of Nintendo games, is because I feel like a lot of times they take that kind of risk, or are willing to at least put their money behind stuff like this. So, I mean, and that depends too on specifically the when what's going on with Nintendo. But I don't know. It's just, it would just be nice if we didn't, if not every Sony produced game was like God of War.
Yeah, or Uncharted or The Last of Us,
Right.
or just any Days Gone. Like they're all Horizon. They're all,
Yeah.
yes, they're all different, but they're all very similar.
Yeah, they really
Even-
are.
Even Ratchet and Clank to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Even Miles Morales / Spider-Man to an extent.
I mean, to an extent, yeah. I mean, that's like, I think those games are great. Like I've played a lot of those, but I mean,
Infamous.
but like I know that when I play like Marvel, like the Spider-Man games, those kind of specifically fill that niche for me. So I don't feel like, I feel like, oh, I don't know if I necessarily need to care about Last of Us or something, even though they're completely separate games, completely different in every single way. That there's just like that. There's just something about that kind of big AAA third-person action feel where I'm just kind of like, I don't need to play all of them.
Yeah, totally. I'm trying to look back and see what, like, Heavy Rain was a little bit out there, which was nice.
Yeah.
Little Big Planet was a little bit out there, which was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, hopefully these new PS5 things.
Yeah, and hopefully,
do something interesting.
Yeah, and hopefully the mass of them means that there's at least some sort of interesting thing in there.
Yeah, and half of them being new IPs.
Yeah,
so that's pretty great. I'd be curious what the other half are. Like existing IPs, is that stuff from PS1?
Right, and I mean, those probably I mean, like, I'm assuming that the part of those are the ones that are already announced, like the new Horizon game, like the new God of War game. I don't think that the 25 are probably all new games, and then also like the new Ratchet and Clank. But
what if one of them was Knack 3?
Oh my god. See, I was just going for like, what if it was another Ape Escape? But
hell yeah, that would also be great. But they made that medieval game that turned out not great. So
yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Anyways, our last piece of news is that
apparently there is a rumor of an Ape Escape 3.
Is there really?
That's a PlayStation 2 game. It's probably a remake. Anyways.
Yeah. Last piece of news. Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest is going on, and there's that new class, which actually that looks really, really rad. The
Reaper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Reaper looks cool. I mean, like, Scythe is pretty. Listen, like, a Scythe is a pretty fucking rad weapon in any sort of game, so that looks pretty rad. And
you get your little ghostly buddy hanging out with you that like attacks with you, and like one of your stronger abilities that you get is to basically meld with them, and then you become like this weird porcelain-faced avatar that's extremely powerful for like 30 seconds.
It's like,
cool.
I mean, And that's the cool thing about Final Fantasy 14 too, as well, as whereas that you can play every class. So everybody's like, oh, this is going to be, fun to play. But
Totally.
yeah,
You can try it out.
Yeah, you can try it out. If you like it, great. If you don't,
Then great.
are anything else that you saw that was exciting for you?
It looks really cool. Endwalker looks really awesome. However, the trailer, amazing. Don't watch it if you haven't played Shadowbringers. I'm gonna say that now because it spoils some Shadowbringer stuff.
Yeah, that's another game I need to keep playing more of because I really liked playing it. There's just too many video games.
It is a large time commitment.
It is a large time sink, and I'd like to put more of time into that, but
yeah, like it is a big ask in a lot of cases, but it's also real good. Yeah, all the Endwalker stuff looks fascinating. Yes, the new class and all that kind of junk, but the story implications are very, very interesting, and especially because we've talked about this before, but they've explicitly said that this is the end of like this arc.
Yeah.
Like with basically these characters that and like the story of Hydaelyn and Zodiark and like the Warrior of Light kind of stuff. This is the end of it. And that seems pretty bold for an MMO to do.
Yeah.
To say like, hey, we're like this it's done. We're starting something completely new after.
Especially since Final Fantasy 14 is so, I don't know, like Final Fantasy 14 is kind of at its prime in a way. I mean, like,
yeah, it's beloved at this point.
People, it's up there as being just played by so many people, and so many people love it. So many people loved Shadowbringers and are really excited about this. So it's pretty bold to say this is going to be the end of this arc. Yeah, but at the height of their power, I guess.
But I'm excited for it to see what they do next, because Yoshi P, the dude in charge of like the creative director of the whole project, has been like, and again, I think we said this last time they had a fan event, but he's dedicated himself to making Final Fantasy 14 his life work. So, like he's putting himself behind it, and Shadowbringers was real good, and all the expansions were good. So I would have some faith in him and the team that he chooses to put behind it. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I think they announced the date for Endwalker finally. It's November 23rd. Let me look at it. I think you can get in early if you do like pre-order the deluxe edition or something, but Endwalker release date, I believe. No, that doesn't say it. That says, November 23rd. And then you can get in a week early with the deluxe edition. That's what it is. Cool.
Anyways, I do need to play a little bit more of that. But anyways, I think that is going to do it for this week's episode of Gaming Fix, unless you have anything else to add, Alex?
Do you know what they call a sedan, like a sedan car?
No, what?
A saloon. What?
Okay, that... I don't know why that was the one that blew my mind the most, but I love it. Anyways, you can find us on the internet at Fix Podcasts on Twitter. Listen to us on all of your favorite podcast sites. Review us on Podchaser. Review us on Apple. Review us on whatever. Send us emails too. It would be nice to get some emails to gaming@fix.space. Where can people find you, Alex?
Probably taking a lot of naps this weekend.
Oh God, same. Yep. I took a very big nap in the middle of the day today, and it was very nice. And you can find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY. All right, well, thank you for listening to this episode of Gaming Fix. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Allison. Bye.
Bye.